Welcome to the Point podcast, a weekly Bible-based conversation about the things that matter most in everyday life. Join Pastor Andy and Kathy Addis for a kitchen table conversation as they talk about life, marriage, parenting, faith, culture, and more, all through a biblical lens. So pull up a chair, join the conversation, and let's get to the point.
Let's do it. Getting to the point. I'm so glad to be here for this series. I am enjoying so much going through the book of Jonah. How about you?
I love it.
You love it?
Yeah, it's a great book. It's a good story. It's compelling.
It's got things that just are Old Testament Bible study for sure, but then beyond that, it's got things that are really applicable to who we are today and what we're doing. So we have had 2 episodes so far. We're going to round out chapter 1 today with a third episode. And we've talked about Jonah's calling, and we've talked about the storm. And just go ahead and, if you were teaching a Sunday school class, summarize how far into Jonah are we? Where are we at in the story so far? Give us our Netflix episode recap.
The story so far is that God called Jonah to go tell the Ninevites to knock it off, and Jonah said, nope, and boarded a ship to go to Tarshish instead. Big storm comes up. Jonah's asleep in the back of the boat, and the sailors are freaking out, and he says, throw me overboard, and the my God that I serve will make it stop. And they're like,
ain't gonna happen.
I don't really want to do this, but they do it, and the storm stops.
And now...
and now they have decided that Jonah's God is the big G God. Now, did they actually convert, or did he become one that they serve along with all the others? We don't know, but...
They called on him, they worshiped him, they made sacrifices to him.
Yeah, they gave every indication that they believe that Jonah's God is the big G-O-D.
Okay. Absolutely great summary. In episode 3, though, we're going to just tackle one verse that ends chapter 1, because now I need you just to put this setting in your mind. You've got this biblical era boat that's now devoid of cargo because they've thrown it all overboard. Everybody is dripping wet from a storm that's so tempestuous they thought it was going to tear the boat apart. But they've now thrown overboard the prophet of God, who they were desperately trying to save because they were scared of him, but they thought, this is the only thing we can do. Throw him overboard. The storm has stopped. The sun is out. Everybody's looking over the edge of the boat, breathing heavy, and Jonah's just out there treading water. This is the moment. What's next? You throw this guy overboard, and he's like, okay, storm's over, let me back on. No, they were like, we can't do that. You're the reason. We're going to stand here and watch you drown. That's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
Or we're going to sail away and know that you drown out here.
Yeah.
But God is going to rescue Jonah. I know everybody who knows the story goes, no. Something bad's going to happen. God is going to rescue Jonah. And this is the most, because that's what's supposed to happen. They've thrown him overboard. He was the problem.
Right.
He's going to die out there, and they're going to move on. But God's not going to let the prophet die.
Yeah.
This is a rescue. And I think the most important thing to remember is that when we read this one verse, God's rescue doesn't always look or feel like a rescue.
Right.
Isn't that crazy?
Right.
That when God does something in your life, you don't always go, this is amazing.
Right.
Sometimes you're like, what is happening?
Yeah.
How could this get any worse? But the truth is, God is enacting a rescue. I want you to think about times in your life in which you thought, oh, it couldn't get any worse, but this thing actually was exactly what needed to happen. This was exactly the direction that we needed to go. And I think it's amazing. So we got one verse.
God is big.
Jonah chapter 1, verse 17. And we're going to get another. We've had the word hurled. We've had the word exceedingly. And now we're going to come on another word that gets repeated again and again throughout the book. These are the big words that will be done. We'll just count them from here on out.
Okay.
But they'll all be introduced. So read verse 17 of chapter 1. I'll follow up right away with the ESV version. Same verse, Jonah chapter 1, verse 17.
Now the Lord had arranged for a great fish to swallow Jonah, and Jonah was inside the fish for 3 days and 3 nights.
And the Lord appointed a great fish to swallow up Jonah, and Jonah was in the belly of the fish 3 days and 3 nights. This is going to be a short Bible study because there's not a lot here, but this deserves our explicit attention. The word appointed is going to be used later. God appoints a wind. And God appoints a worm.
I was going to say a
God
worm,
appoints
right?
a vine. These are things, this is really important because the word appointed is, it means to count, to number, to tell, to appoint, to prepare. But let me pronounce this word for you in Hebrew. Again, it says, and the Lord appointed a great fish to swallow up Jonah. Oh. I made that noise
I like
for you.
it.
Did you like that?
Yeah.
Let me pronounce the word in Hebrew for you. Manna. Yeah. It's not the exact same word, but it is in the same family of that word. What was manna when you hear that word?
The Israelites in the desert
Yep. And
in the roamings where they were convinced that Moses had drugged them out to the desert to starve to death, and God said,
right.
here's your cereal every morning. Manna.
cornflakes. On the ground.
Cornflakes, yeah. They don't know what
And
it
so
is.
manna is actually a Hebrew word that means, what is it?
Yeah, what is it?
And they start eating, what is it? Because they didn't know what it was, but it was what got provided for them. And now God provides for Jonah when he is about to die in the ocean. This is his rescue. It's so awesome
crazy.
to me
Yeah.
that, I'm sure. Now, go back. The guys are all, and they're looking at this guy treading water, and they're just making eye contact. There's nothing left to say. They're like,
Yeah.
what do we do? And all of a sudden, this mouth just swallows his. Don't you know the guy? That is probably why they offered sacrifices. I'll be honest with you.
Oh my goodness. Can't you just see their faces like, what? What?
You know, there was a guy going, you got to be kidding me. Did anybody else see that?
Oh my
It's
lands.
an amazing. And don't forget, we're teaching this and believe that this is not a myth or a fable. This actually happened.
You're right.
Because Jesus quotes this verse as reality. The second half of verse 17, and Jonah was in the belly of the fish 3 days and 3 nights.
Right.
Jesus actually quotes that as a reality, comparing it to his reality. Now, one more bit of Bible study. And again, this is a shorter Bible study, but it's so worth the time. He appointed a great fish. Well, two things, actually. The word great is another one of those words that we haven't pointed out, but it is again and again. Let me just take you through the number of greats we've seen so far.
Okay.
In verse 1, that great city, Nineveh. In verse 4, he hurled a great wind upon them. In verse 12, a great tempest has come upon you, and now a great fish. This is another one of those words that we're going to see with exceedingly, with hurled. We're going to see these again and again. We are going to see arise again and again, but we don't see it till the very end.
Right.
But so we'll come back to that. These are just great words for Bible study. Anytime something is repeated, it's really important. Anytime something is repeated, it's really important. Anytime something is
Repeated.
it's really important, yes.
Yeah.
And so we watch these words. So the Lord appointed a great fish. Well, you will hear it taught that Jonah was swallowed by a
Whale.
whale. There's a word for whale. It's not used here. It's not. It's a great fish. Could it have been a whale? Absolutely. You could Pinocchio that thing out, right?
Sure.
Remember Pinocchio, that he was like inside a whale with a campfire with some friend. Jiminy Cricket was with him.
Right. Loose translation of Jonah.
But we don't know for sure. What I actually like is that this is an unidentifiable fish. There have been some scholars who say it's a vague term. It's just a great fish, because it might have been any number of fishes that were there that were mutated to excessive size that could contain him, or it may have been something that God made especially for Jonah.
I kind of feel like that's it.
Well, because he lived in there for 3 days. There's got to be a breathing apparatus. There's just so much we don't know.
We have no idea.
We just don't know. But it is the coolest thing in the world to think about. Yet with all of that as Bible study, with the Christ modeling that comes out of this, that this verse is actually quoted by Jesus about the resurrection as proof of the resurrection.
Right.
The thing that we want to focus on right here is that this yucky, terrifying, incredibly weird thing is God's rescue.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing. We pray. I don't know how many parents you and I have prayed with over the years. We pray for wayward children, that God would do whatever he has to do to get through to them. And I've heard moms and dads through teary eyes and broken words say, God, if he has to go to jail, God, if she has to spend some time in the hospital, whatever it is, if they have to spend that time in the belly of the whale, just rescue them.
Yeah.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah. It's a hard prayer to pray, especially for someone you love or for yourself. It's tough.
And we've been through it. I mean, I don't know to this extent, but there have been times that, we look back at our life. People say this to me all the time, and this is kind of a funny thing. So it's not necessarily a spiritual connection, but people say the weirdest stuff happens to you. Do you think all that happens just because you're a preacher and you need stories? Yeah, sometimes I do. So sometimes we made a statement the other day that's the weirdest thing in the world, Andy. I go like, yeah, who else would it happen to?
Yeah.
Right there. Right. Yeah. And we go through some things because God has a bigger purpose. God has a better plan. But I think the most important thing to remember is you may be going through a hardship, but that hardship is actually your deliverance.
Yeah.
You may be going through something that you never wanted, wished, desired, and are praying to get out of. But God says, one day you're going to recognize, I actually made this for you.
Yeah.
Because this is the vehicle that is going to get you out of the mess that you're in.
Yeah. That's huge.
All right. Well, that's the Bible study. So what is the point there? The spark for this is that everybody goes through these moments of desperation when you have no words left to say, and if God doesn't do something, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
The scripture shows us that God sent Jonah a whale, and there's evidence in our lives that he sends the great fish to us as well in different ways.
Yeah.
And the point has to be what? That we are willing to praise God and accept whatever rescue he delivers. Let's be honest. If you rewrote all of Christianity, if you took all of it out and you were just starting from scratch and you said, we're going to save humanity, if you didn't know this gospel story, would you send the Son of God to die on a cross and rise from the dead? That would be the furthest thing from my mind.
Right. Yeah.
But it was God's plan to rescue all of humanity.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I think if we start looking at stuff going, that is weird, that is awkward, that is painful, but that got us to the right place, it's almost always going to be God's hand on that thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Amen?
Yeah, 100%. I think if you look at something and it draws you to God, that is the work of his hand. If you look at something and your heart begins to wander, or you get angry, or it makes you disobedient or discouraged or just angry, you know what I mean? Like all of that negative stuff, that's the enemy trying to steal your attention and your focus, because God can actually absolutely use everything in our lives to draw us to him.
That's absolutely right.
And to make us focus and look at him. But the enemy wants to make sure that we have all the emotional responses and the cultural guidelines, and it's frustrating, but it does make sense that God will use everything. And even the things that we don't see coming.
We're straight on board together. This is good.
Good.
So
good.
We're going to come back and we're going to give some advice to men and women when we give our 2 cents. But before we do that, we've been following the saga of a young man by the name of Jonas. There was a book that I was privileged to write that's a modern allegory of the book of Jonah. You can see in the show notes that there's the ability to get a Audible or a Kindle or even a print version of that. We'd love for you to do it if it's a supplement and something encouraging to you, and I hope and pray that it is. But we've been following that story along, letting the voice of Noah, who is our reader, go ahead and read us an excerpt. Now, Jonah got swallowed by a great fish.
Right.
And if you remember, Jonas was in the middle of his storm, driving down the highway in his car, and he's about to find his great fish moment. So take a second and follow with us, and let's rejoin that story for a minute or two.
The shock of that lightning bolt in his memory, and the one that just struck what appeared to be a few feet from his car on that night, forced him to jump back into the reality of the present moment. The hurt and pain he had been experiencing fled away, immediately replaced by fear. Jonas reflexively yanked his wheel away from the lightning strike, shooting him into the other lane. The car almost instantly lost traction with the wet dirt road under its wheels and started to slide out of control as it still moved forward. But although the nose of Jonas's car pointed towards the right-hand shoulder, the car's movement was drifting towards the left shoulder in the opposite lane. Jonas gripped the steering wheel tightly with both hands, trying to will the car to straighten out, but it was too late. Whether the front driver's side tire caught a pothole or a crack, it felt like some unseen giant punted Jonas and his car up and off the road. It wasn't a radical rotation, but a gentle spiral as Jonas felt that all too familiar tug of the seatbelt across his chest and abdomen. Jonas felt his stomach tighten as his body inverted in the dark and the storm. No amount of steering would help since he was now airborne, yet he continued to grab the wheel as though he had some control. It is incredible how many thoughts can go through the human mind in a moment of crisis. All while spiraling through the air, Jonas wondered if he was about to die, if he would walk away miraculously once again, if he would be injured and have to endure rehabilitation, if he would be paralyzed and change his life forever. But as he hung in space, flying through the darkness of night, he realized just how little control he had. Jonas was waiting for an abrupt and shocking stop, for the smashing of glass and the taste of blood in his mouth. Instead, all he heard was the screeching of metal and the grinding halt of his forward momentum. If you had been an outside observer on the road witnessing the crash, you would have been awestruck at the precision of everything which took place. A late model, very used vehicle performing a stunt maneuver that would make a Hollywood special effects driver jealous. The car's weather-induced skid produced an awkward angle, making the driver's side door nearly the leading edge of the forward momentum. Then, as if well-timed explosives were underneath a stunt car, Jonas was airborne. But not with multiple rotations, just a singular twist in the air, only achieving about 75% of a single rotation before disappearing. The accident was like one of those carnival games where you throw a football through a hole barely the size of a football. The car Jonas was in flipped over the opposing lane and did not just land in the ditch on the other side of the road, but perfectly slid into a concrete drainage culvert like a knife entering a sheath. The culvert itself must have been nearly identical to the width of Jonas's car. The vehicle slid entirely into the culvert, grinding to a halt about 1/3 of the way into the underground passage where it hung suspended above the rainwaters rushing through. The car floated above the drainage waters by the tension of each side pressing against the inside of the culvert walls. The overgrown wild grass and weeds that covered the entrance quickly gave way for the car to pass through, then snapped back into place, covering the opening with so little damage it would take a cowboy movie tracker to recognize they had even been disturbed. Jonas and his car were hanging inside that country culvert drainage ditch and hidden from sight by doorways of greenery that grow in every highway ditch across the state of Kansas. Jonas's car, fitting so perfectly into that culvert in mid-rotation, was like threading a needle but on a cosmic scale, almost as if directed by the hand of God.
Almost. Almost. Say, Jonah is swallowed by a whale and Jonas is swallowed by a culvert. His car suspended, hanging upside down in the dark. And they're both about to have the same journey in different places and different spaces. Man, I enjoyed writing that book. I hope some of you have enjoyed reading it. Let's take some time to end this lesson. Remember, only one verse about God's unusual rescue with the great fish by talking to the men and the women. This will be the time in which we do what? We give our 2 cents. So as we do, Kathy, why don't you start first? Tell us what you'd like the ladies to know about this.
Well, I think as I read this, I am profoundly claustrophobic, and the story of Jonah being swallowed by a great fish kind of makes me go, "Ee." And then I hear your allegory and your rendition of that, of the wreck, and I'm like, like my heart is like, I can't. It's awful.
You have trouble getting past just the feel of that.
Yes, it's terrible. It makes me very, very anxious. And I think sometimes when we go through storms, I can't remember ever being trapped in, the belly of a fish, or thankfully in a car like that. But there are storms that happen, and I think and I'm going to speak to the ladies, but I think it's we as humans. We fail to see the rescue in confinement. And I know that if you're walking through seasons or a season in your life where you just feel confined, it makes me think specifically of the 18 months that I spent with my mom after she broke her hip, and then she had surgery and she needed attention, a lot, and then she broke her other hip and she had surgery, and it was 18 months of my schedule was no longer my schedule, and I was driving back and forth to Oklahoma. I think it was every week, and I felt confined. But as I look back, the rescue for me was when my mama died. I had no regret.
Wow.
I was able to...
You went through the hard thing. We
went through the hard thing, and I was able to talk with her and have really, really precious moments with her. And I see now that was God's way of, because I had been so distant from her, just physically distant for years, from the time I graduated high school, I moved out and was away, but those last few months with her, I got to spend just kind of not making up time, but just really enjoying being with my mom. And when I had to say goodbye, I could do that.
Wow.
And that was a rescue for me. There was closure. There was no regret. And I think we as ladies, it's hard to see that God has a bigger plan. That
when you're in the middle of something.
When you're in the middle of it. Yeah. And I think if we can just sit back and just breathe in a moment and go, okay, God is in control. He knows what's going on. He knows what I need. I can trust him.
That's right.
And it's so, so, so important.
It's beyond important. That's a good word. And it's a perspective issue is what you're saying for ladies. I think that's for everybody, right? But that's your word to the ladies.
Yeah.
Let me give a word to the men. Don't waste your fish, right? God sends that rescue. You may not like it or want it, but don't waste it. And if you don't know where you're at right now, here's my advice to every guy out there. I want you to think back to a time that God delivered you, and you didn't realize it until afterwards. You may not even like it to this day, but you know that he did something or developed you in that moment. And for you to appreciate and not waste the fish that you have today, you got to go back and start by identifying and having gratitude for the moments that he brought you through and delivered you in those ugly, smelly, difficult ways in the past. That's not to say God won't deliver you miraculously into marvelous light and it'll be wonderful.
Yeah.
But very often, especially when he's bringing you out of the storm that he needed to put in your life, it's a fish moment, and we don't want to waste the fish. So,
yeah.
I eat more fish than you do. Tilapia
True.
at every restaurant I think we've ever been to.
Yeah.
I'm a fish and chips kind of guy. Let me say this. Don't waste your fish. Okay,
It's
it's a
good.
little different. That's
Good.
Yeah, it's a little different. All right, what a blessing to do this journey with you guys, and we hope that you are excited about this.
Yeah.
We're actually working on a project. We can't tell you about it just yet, but we're working on a project. For those of you who are longtime listeners, we want you to help us in helping other people know the value of this Bible study.
Yeah.
And so we're attempting to create some swag.
That's so weird.
It is, but it's swag that will help us get the word out and hopefully help you help us get that word out. We'll tell you more about it later, but between now and then, we're just so thankful you're here. And we ask that you would think about who you might share this with. Maybe forward a link or just tell a friend to jump on board. We love more people on the To The Point Nation, and we'll continue rolling through this. We got 3. We've got 5 more in this Jonah to Jonah series, and looking forward to every bit of it. We're in chapter 2 starting next week.
Good.
He's in the fish.
Yeah.
It'll be fun. It'll be fun. But until then, we'll see you on another episode of To The Point.
Thanks for joining us on To The Point. If today's conversation encouraged you, head over to crosspointchurch.com/podcast to catch previous episodes and discover other podcasts you might enjoy. And don't forget to subscribe, share with a friend, and join us next time as we keep the conversation going. To The Point.